Roy joins us. A very good evening to you. The US Federal Reserve has kept its benchmark rate steady.
Well, Mark, monetary policymakers have decided to keep the central bank's key interest rate unchanged at the current range of 5.25% to 5.5%. And now that's the highest level in 23 years. Chairman Jerome Powell said while inflation has eased significantly over the past year, it's still too high, and that while wage growth has slowed down, the labour market remains tight. At the same time, though, he also announced that the bank will scale back the pace at which it is shrinking its balance sheet starting next month. That means that the bank will limit the sale of Treasury bonds to $25 billion a month from the current $60 billion. Here's Chairman Powell speaking earlier.
We've stated that we do not expect that it will be appropriate to reduce the target range for the federal funds rate until we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. So far this year, the data have not given us that greater confidence. In particular, and as I noted earlier, readings on inflation have come in above expectations. It is likely that gaining such greater confidence will take longer than previously expected.
Well, the statement from the Federal Reserve lifted market sentiment initially. Wall Street's main indices all gained momentum earlier on, but just in the final hour reversed that trend, finishing the day on a mixed note with the Dow Jones up 0.25%, the S&P and the Nasdaq both down by about 1/3 percentage point.
Pent-up demand post-pandemic has been a boon for tourism in many countries, but over-tourism is also becoming a problem. Tell us more.
Well, one example is in Japan that's been seeing huge numbers of foreign visitors arriving every month now. And unruly behaviour by some foreign visitors has forced local authorities to take drastic measures. Verika Behel takes a look.
Tourism in Japan has exploded since it reopened in 2022 post-COVID. One factor fueling visitor numbers is the weak currency. At its lowest level against the dollar since 1990, the devalued yen encourages foreigners to spend more than they normally would.
I bought 3 pairs of shoes, which I absolutely never do. It wasn't that they're Japanese shoes. I bought Converse, which you can find back in France, but the exchange rate made it really attractive.
However, the boom is bringing with it some undesirable consequences. Known for its idyllic Mount Fuji views, this town became congested with tourists seeking the perfect snapshots. So overcrowded, in fact, that authorities are building a black screen to block the view and deter people.
Tourists begin to gather to take photos as early as 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they can be loud. Locals are struggling just to walk on their own streets.
Further west, in Kyoto's Gion district, unruly tourist behaviour towards geishas has left areas off limits. Visitors will no longer be able to enter certain picturesque alleyways, with a 10,000 yen fine for non-compliance. According to Japan's tourism board, overseas visitor numbers in March were over 3 million, the first time they exceeded this figure in a single month, and a 69.5% increase since its previous high in July 2019.
It's May Day all over the world, including, of course, here in France. The day to offer each other a lily of the valley, a tradition here in France dating back to the 16th century.
It is said that it was King Charles IX who was the first to offer the flower on May the 1st as a symbol of good fortune. And today, it is big business. According to one study, some 1.4 million people bought bouquets of lily of the valley, though that was down from 2.3 million in 2019. It still generated tens of millions of euros. French law allows anyone to sell the flower, which is muguet in French, in public spaces, provided that the sprays come from private gardens or picked in forests. So an opportunity for families and even kids to make a bit of money and to share their goodwill with the local community. I actually didn't know, but it is one day where anyone, you and I, could go pick up the flowers and then sell on the streets.
Walking our dog in the forest earlier where I live outside Paris, there were loads of people getting muguet, and I passed about 3 stalls on the way to the edge of town actually selling people those little bits of lily of the valley. So maybe next year we could set ourselves up a little business. What do you think?
Yeah.
We're going to do it. You heard it here first. Yuca's flowers, there we go.